Public schools.
Charter schools.
Magnet schools. What's the difference? For the most part, everybody knows about private schools, online schools, and home schools. So in this video, we're going to focus on the similarities and the differences between public schools, charter schools, and magnet schools.
So if you are new here, we are a family of 7 who have uprooted our life in small town Wisconsin to follow our dreams to the Sunshine State.
You got it.
I was so nervous. We make all sorts of videos about moving to Florida
and all the fun things you can do once you get here.
So make sure you subscribe down below, hit that bell so you don't miss any of our uploads.
Or
when we go live
to answer your questions. Let's get into the video, honey.
Right now.
Sunshine, blue skies, it's a state of mind that we came to find. I'm talking about palm trees, we're making memories. I don't wanna leave this sunshine state of mind.
Now, I know this question is on many of your minds because it was on our minds too when we moved to Florida. What is the difference between public schools, charter schools, and magnet schools, and how do you decide which one is right for you?
So let's start with the publicly zoned school. The majority of you are probably used to that.
And Florida has 4,517 publicly zoned schools at the start of the 2020-2021 school year.
Wow.
Publicly zoned schools mean that they are the school that is designated for the area in which you live. Now, this can be a good or a bad thing because typically the better school districts mean a better neighborhood.
However, not everyone can afford to live in a good neighborhood.
One thing that the publicly zoned schools really got going for them is that they have automatic acceptance. So if you move into the district, you're automatically granted a spot within that school.
So I think most of us have a pretty good understanding of publicly zoned schools. So I think it's time to get into the real meat and potatoes of this video. And that's the differences between a magnet school and a charter school.
Let's start with charter schools. Now, at the start of this school year in the state of Florida, there were 646 charter schools. Most of them run elementary all the way through high school. Not necessarily all in the same building, although some of them are. Charter schools can either be virtual or in person and are usually 100% free to attend. They're also usually non-selective, meaning that they don't necessarily screen their students for certain grades or abilities in order to have acceptance. If demand is high for admittance to the charter school, students are usually accepted by a lottery system.
So one great advantage to charter schools is they operate independently,
meaning that they get to make their own decisions on how to spend money and how to serve their students. This can be either a good or a bad thing if you think about it, because the school could very easily spend their money the wrong way, meaning that they may not be properly balancing their budget, although most of them seem to do a very good job at this because they're still governed by the state. The fact that they're governed by the state holds them accountable. If certain standards aren't met, they can either have their charter revoked or the school can be completely shut down, leaving you high and dry.
So guys, I just wanted to throw in a little bit of my personal opinion. I do feel that charter schools their curriculum is a little bit higher than, say, maybe your public school. And now for us, we love that. But that may not work for everyone in everyone's situation. So it's definitely something that you want to check out when you check out these schools and walk through and ask those questions, because every situation is different.
And every school is different. So just because we're saying that the curriculum at our children's charter school is a little bit harder than the public school they came from, isn't necessarily the case for all charter schools.
Yep.
So when you are deciding on a school, visit these schools and compare them.
Tour them. Make sure you go in, ask the questions, write things down so that it's in front of you when you're in front of them to make sure that all your needs are met.
All right, let's move on to magnet schools.
Now guys, I had never heard of a magnet school before moving to Florida. And let me tell you, I think they're pretty cool.
I've never heard of one either. And at the beginning of this school year, there were 578 magnet schools in the state of Florida. So just like charter schools, magnet schools are usually 100% free. The main difference is that magnet schools focus on a specific skill or interest of the students within the school. Now, this focus can be on just about anything, but some of the main ones we've seen in the state of Florida are things like engineering, technology, the medical field, international studies,
arts, dance, music.
all that stuff, guys. I've even seen some that have equestrian schools.
That is so cool.
I know what you're thinking. I want my kid to focus more than just on technology or more than just on the medical field. Well, the magnet schools got you covered. They still focus on your main core subjects like math, social studies, history, all that stuff. It's just that they use the specific skill or interest within these topics to help the student grasp the ideas. Another good thing about magnet schools, and this applies for charter schools as well, is that you don't have to live within their district to attend them. I like to think of magnet schools just like a magnet. Think of how a magnet attracts things, right? Like metals and things like that. Magnet schools attract students who have the interest that their school is pursuing, meaning they're pulling all these students with the same interest together from, I was just doing that for you, from all over the place, getting all these students together that have the same interest in mind, and it really seems to keep the students interested.
So you guys, I think these schools are so cool. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if I would have known about them before moving here, those would have been my top picks for my kids. Just think about what your children will walk away with.
They will learn real life skills and real job skills that they can transfer immediately to their real life after graduation.
It gives them so much experience and knowledge at such young ages.
It sounds like we're really trying to sell the magnet schools here.
Oh, I'm sold.
Just like charter schools, anybody can apply to magnet schools, although sometimes they can be very competitive or complicated to get into. Some schools may ask you to audition or do an entrance exam before they will accept you, although that's not the case for all of the schools. Not all of them are looking for necessarily the best and the brightest students. Many of them just want students who show a true passion and interest for the focus of that school.
So guys, don't let the testing in and
auditions
and all that stuff scare you away. Most of them do the lottery systems just like the charter.
Okay guys, so we've talked about public schools, we've talked about charter schools, we've talked about magnet schools. How do you pick which one to do? Keep in mind, open enrollment in Florida is usually about January or February, so try to have your decision made up for the following school year about that time so you know which schools to apply for. So how do you make the decision? The first thing and the best thing we can tell you is to do your research. Visit the school in person. That is a huge one as well. And don't just visit one school. Compare it to other schools within the area and make your decision that way.
And guys, if you have older children like us, we have Brody, right, who is 12, talk to them. See what they feel.
Connect with other parents. If you
Yes.
haven't moved here yet, join Facebook groups, guys. We tell you all the time. Join a Facebook group for the area you're interested in moving in and ask questions about specific schools. You would be surprised how many parents are willing to help you, whether it's good or bad.
There's no wrong decision on what works for your family. Take us for example. We moved here, we put our children in a publicly zoned school. They were there for a few weeks, didn't work.
1 week.
1 week. Got them into a charter school. They love their school. Started off a little rocky, had to do some advocating for our children. Now everything is going great. But now looking into these magnet schools and seeing the options out there, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to always be looking and always be learning. And it's definitely something that we are considering for our children in the upcoming year.
And guys, you know, it's different for everybody, but our kids are very resilient
And they're adaptable.
They do very well with
Yes.
change. We could put them in a different school every year. Now, that's not the case
No.
for some of you.
Right.
If your kid struggles moving from school to school, definitely be 100% sure with your decision before
Yes.
you go and enroll them and put them in that school.
Don't think that we're just gonna keep tossing the kids all over. That is not our plan. But unfortunately, our journey here was a little different.
Lucky for you, you have us to help guide you along the way. Thank
Thank
you
you
so much for watching, and we will see you next time.